my passion is so many people still think stem cells therapy is unattainable. Yeah, it's not cheap.
I thought it was unattainable.
Yeah, people think it's unattainable. They think they have to go somewhere else. And even if, they might hear some ad that says you need to go to Panama. They're like, well, I'm not spending $50,000 to go to Panama.
Welcome to another episode of Coffeez. Thanks for coming on today's show, Seth.
Good to be here.
All right, cool. So I'd like to start the show off. Seth, a guy like you, very, very fit guy in the health and wellness space. What's your morning routine?
Morning routine, boy. I am not, at this point, I've not got myself to get up at 4 a.m. and do the cold plunges. So I'm not going to give you a really good answer here. I like to stay up a little bit late, watch some TV, wind down. So I'm not really getting up till 7:30 probably. So I know that's not going to play very well in the super health and wellness space. But I also like to be there when my kids get ready for school. Yeah. So I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. The 13-year-old's up at about 7, gets ready for school. Then the 9-year-old comes down about 8. So I'm kind of checking emails, getting ready for the day. And then when they go to school, then I really start working. So
when do you hit the gym and do all the other stuff?
So I am different. I don't like this, but because I can't get myself to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, which would require going to bed super early, most of the time I don't get to the gym till after 5:30, sometimes after 6:30, because it's just hard for me to take an hour and a half in the middle of the day with everything I have going on. So usually when I'm done working, then I can just go to the gym and kind of focus on the gym and not be as distracted. The days I try to get up in the morning and do it, at like 9 or even at 1 or 2, it's just I find I get calls and emails and texts. I don't get a good workout in, so I'm saving it for later in the day usually.
You get thrown off there.
You get thrown off, yeah.
Nice. So let me ask you, right now, the health and wellness space is, I would argue, one of the most emerging, if not one of the most dominant businesses. You hear the health and med spa business just exploding. What is it that drew you to specifically the stem cell space? Now, you didn't get into the normal health and wellness labs, they got going on.
Yeah, so I've always been a sports guy. I grew up loving team sports. My dad instilled a love of basketball, baseball, football to me. So my heroes growing up were always pro athletes, 80s, 90s kids. So pro wrestlers, the guys with the big bodies and, the freak athletes. So I've always, as a kid, everybody wants to be an action figure, right? So I certainly was not naturally built that way, but I did play a lot of sports growing up. I played, all the way baseball, basketball, all the way through high school, played Division III basketball, baseball. But even then I was by no means a biohacker. So I'm a serial entrepreneur too. So about 8.5 years ago, former business partner of mine went to a marketing conference in Florida where there was a speaker. He was a medical guy, but also a marketer, and he was basically selling a stem cell business in a box. And really nobody hardly knew anything, about what a stem cell was. I think maybe people had heard about it from the early 2000s and the controversy with the George W. Bush years where they were talking about embryonic stem cell research, which was kind of a taboo subject, and then maybe people heard about Kobe Bryant going over to Germany and getting some crazy new stem cell procedure. But that's about the extent that I knew of stem cells. But he brought it back to me as a business opportunity, and so I first looked at it from the business opportunity, not even necessarily the health and wellness space. So I kind of tell people there isn't some great hero like origin story necessarily for my beginning in this space, but I've done a lot of different things, a lot of different industries, and without a doubt, I'm really glad or blessed that I kind of fell into this space because it is what I'm passionate about. I've done financial planning, I've done home improvement stuff before that. All that was just a business, but this is actually fun and rewarding. Getting to see lives change, and I've gotten more dialed into my own fitness and health, of course, since being into this space. So I'm super happy and fortunate that I did get into it.
So it was presented back when, if it was presented to you as a business opportunity 8.5 years ago, I'm surprised that we don't see many you're one of the biggest distributors in America of stem cells. Like, I'm surprised this isn't just, a rampant business.
It's getting there. So it might seem like to somebody who isn't in the industry, you don't hear about it that much, of course. So I'm in the industry. There's been a huge uptick in med spas and places that are offering regenerative therapies like stem cells and exosomes. Even in the last couple of years, it's really, really gone up. But it is still, people still tell me, and I have to remind myself that we are still in the early stages and there's exponential growth to be had. And I just say that's kind of funny because I've been in it for 8.5 years. I've seen it go from basically nothing to what it is now. I think it's about a $10 billion industry. And within a year or two, it's expected, at least by 2030, expected to be $40 to $50 billion industry, if not more. So
Wow.
So I like it when people tell me that, because it reminds me that, hey, you're still in the ground floor.
Still in infancy
still
stage.
in the infancy. And, again, fortunate enough that I've been in it for a little while. So I've been able to I've got really anchored in this world. It's kind of a small world. So,
Yeah.
it's a big world, but it's a
You don't see any of the big biohackers talking about stem cells. Gary Brecker's not talking about it, or Brian Johnson, maybe he's doing some of it, or
yeah, maybe not publicly, but I can tell you some stories about Gary Brecka and some of his most famous clients. He uses stem cells and exosomes. They've been a little bit controversial in the past, so I think Gary Brecka just doesn't like to talk about it as much. But if you talk to some of Gary Brecka's clients, they'll tell you that they've been doing exosome and stem cell treatments with Gary Brecka. So he actually does have, he has his hands in that as well. Yeah, he does.
You're like, I distribute to this group.
Yeah. I've been trying to get him as my client, but not yet. So
Maybe after the show.
Yeah. Who do you know?
Yeah. Okay, cool. When did this vision for regenerative revival first come to you?
Yeah, so originally when I got into the space, we're going way back here, but my previous, I've been in business for myself since I was in my early 20s. And I've always done one-to-many type of sales, so dinner seminars. So I started in the home improvement business. We'd drop direct mail. We'd invite a bunch of homeowners in the area that fit our demographic, feed them dinner, a steak dinner, present what we were selling, and the whole idea was to get them interested in a one-on-one meeting. So I've been doing that model since I was 23 years old for home improvement. I went on to walk-in bathtubs using that same model. Then I went to financial planning using that same model. Mm-hmm. So the reason the stem cell thing intrigued me when my former business partner went there is he said, hey, I think that we can plug in the stem cell business using our dinner seminar one-to-many approach. So that's really what we did. So we at first hired doctors to do these educational talks and tried to send them to the doctor's clinic. So we were kind of overseeing everything. And the first 3 weeks out, these doctors did the seminar. They knew all the science behind stem cells, but they couldn't communicate it. So we went 3 weeks with zero sales. We stuck like 40 grand into marketing, and we got nothing. And me and my business partner were like, we don't know that much of the science of stem cells, but we do know how to explain things to people at a level that can resonate. Because really what we're presenting with regenerative therapy, stem cell therapy, whatever you want to call it, is we're presenting a solution to a problem. These people have a problem. That problem is they're in pain. It's chronic. And the options that they've been given so far haven't been working. So meaning somebody might, say you're a 60-year-old pickleball player and you've got an old knee injury and you've been doing cortisone shots. They only last for a couple of weeks. There's a lot of side effects. You've got chronic pain in that knee, and you've been told the only thing that you can do, by your traditional orthopedic doctor is get a knee replacement. So it's kind of like pain manage, and then surgery. Well, nobody really wants to get an artificial knee or a hip or things like that. There's a lot of downsides to having hardware in your body. So what we're presenting is a solution, an alternative, to the problem. So by doing the dinner seminars and explaining, hitting on all the points, it's not just how do stem cells talk to each other. And, nobody really cares about I shouldn't say nobody, but the average consumer doesn't really care that much about the deep biology that goes on, with the body and the products. They want to know, what's it going to do for me? So what we decided was we're better, the problem isn't the science, it's the communicating the science. So that we just took over doing the dinner seminars ourselves. And, we did like $175,000 of business off of one meeting. And that's kind of where we took off. We said, okay, we need to be able to communicate the story. The results are there, the products are there, the science is there. We just need to be able to tell the story better. So we took that vision and then we just started expanding it. And the other thing that we've done, that I've done, we've since, I'm not working with this guy anymore, what we've decided to do is the only barrier for a lot of people to get this treatment is they don't know where to go. So these dinner seminars, which are educational, solve the problem of explaining the solution. And then what we decided, instead of having brick and mortar clinics in every city all across America, we just started hiring nurse practitioners, getting them certified to do stem cell therapies, and they're mobile. So we can treat patients in any part of the country, and we can send a nurse practitioner directly to their home. So that was a vision that I had about eight and a half years ago when we got into it, is how can we take some of the overhead away too, because stem cell therapy is expensive. And part of the reasons it's so expensive, the products cost a lot of money, but there's a lot of overhead in running a brick and mortar clinic. So I thought, well, if the only service we're doing doesn't require like a surgery room, because we're talking about injections and IV pushes, there's no reason to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in startup costs in every territory when we can be mobile, have our nurse practitioners and our doctors be, concierge white glove style, and that's really where it's grown to today. Now I have almost 100 nurse practitioners, doctors, and I'm in all 50 states, and we can send our medical team directly to somebody anywhere in the country virtually to get the treatment done. So that's a long answer to your short question, but that was kind of always the vision. It just takes a little while to get, to get all 50 states, to get enough providers to be able to cover the whole country, but that's pretty much where we're at now.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And now you're able to go direct to consumer in the comfort of their own home. What have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced building a stem cell empire?
Yeah, so obviously hiring is always tough. There's plenty of nurse practitioners out there, but you got to find them that are willing to travel, go on the road. We pay them very well, but you still have to be able to find ones that are independent enough to just be gone all day, or sometimes it's 2 or 3 days, and they're going house. They're making house calls too. So it's always a challenge finding enough providers to take care of the patients. That's probably a normal business challenge. This world of regenerative therapy. There are regulatory challenges, so that's probably I don't think.
Hyper regulated.
Yeah, it is hyper regulated. So you have to be very, very careful. I've seen a lot of people in this space say the wrong things, try to cut corners, try to fly under the radar, do things maybe not on the up and up. And I've seen a lot of people get in trouble because they're making they're making unfounded claims. So the biggest challenge, even to this day, is running a medical company, a regenerative therapy company, because these products are not FDA approved, right? Because the FDA stands for Food and Drug Administration. Stem cell products, regenerative products, another term for that is biologics. They are not a drug, they're not food. So they're regulated somewhat by the FDA. It just means it's a gray area. So you have to be very, very careful.
So who regulates stem cells if it's not the FDA?
Well, the FDA regulates the labs. They regulate the process of how we collect the tissue. They regulate how we can, we're not even allowed to manipulate the umbilical cord tissue. So there's tons of regulation. The FTC, along with the FDA, regulates the marketing side. It's really the marketing side that you have to be careful of. So you can't say things like, we guarantee that this stem cell therapy will completely eliminate your osteoarthritis. Even though it's done that for the vast majority of people that have used it, if you make that claim, now according to the FDA, you're making a claim as if it were a drug. And they'll say, well, since it's not a drug, you can't make that claim. And if you're claiming it,
even if it's a drug, though, you can't.
Well, if a drug has been FDA approved for a specific indication, so you take a drug that gets approved for osteoarthritis, they can say this drug is for your osteoarthritis specifically because it's been approved. It's done that $800 million process.
They can't say it's going to heal your
No, but they can say it's specifically designed for your osteoarthritis. We're not even really supposed to say this will treat your osteoarthritis. We have to say things like this can address the symptoms of your osteoarthritis. A lot of it is almost like wink, wink. It's like, look it up on your own.
Yeah.
You'll see what it's done. Here's thousands of testimonials.
I would just say, see what ChatGPT says.
Yes. Go to ChatGPT.
And see what stem cells is doing for millions of people.
So it's walking a tightrope, making sure that you're staying out of the bullseye of the regulators. And I've grown a lot. People know who I am in the industry. I'm sure the FDA knows who I am, who my companies are, and I've never had any trouble because we try to make sure we're doing everything on the up and up. Like we go above and beyond when we educate people to let them know everything. We're not trying to tell people like this is your insurance not going to cover stem cell therapy. It's just not going to. So we're very upfront about that.
Which is crazy. They'd rather cover a $50,000 surgery.
Yeah, man. We could talk. How much time do we have? Yeah. There's all sorts of there's big pharma is very powerful in this country. So they've probably been the biggest inhibitor of getting more access to this type of treatment. And they've been really fighting it tooth and nail for over 20 years, and they're still fighting it. If they had their way, they would, they would have the government shut down this whole industry. And they've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars lobbying to keep this a little bit more in the gray, because the last thing they want is for people to get better quickly.
Yeah, they don't want you healed.
No, they don't want you healed. A patient cured is a customer lost. And I don't think that's, I always be very careful with this. I know hundreds and hundreds of doctors, medical professionals. I think the vast majority of them are doing the best they can. But if you talk to any one of them, even younger doctors, they learn nothing about regenerative medicine in med school. They've spent very little time on nutrition or prevention. They're practicing medicine. There's a reason we say practice medicine.
Man, it's sad because all they know is just to basically feed people poison and then fix them later. Yeah,
what's that saying? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, or something like that. It's like if you're an orthopedic surgeon and you get paid big bucks to do knee replacements. I've had so many people, like customers, potential customers, that are this close to getting the stem cell therapy for their knee, and they're like, I just got to talk to my orthopedic doctor first. It's like, well, what do you think the guy who makes a living off of giving you a knee replacement is going to tell you when you say you're going to do this experimental thing? It's like, good luck with that. He's not going to sign off.
Are they still calling stem cells experimental?
They are technically experimental. Technically, they are. It's not an FDA. Again, it's not an FDA-approved drug, but neither is any supplement you take. So if you take a multivitamin and you look at the bottle, or even
Not
vitamin
FDA.
D, I always ask you, what does it say about the FDA? It says these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. It doesn't mean that the FDA looked at them and said they're no good, but if it's not food or a drug, it's outside of their jurisdiction. So that's really where the biologics industry, the stem cell exosome industry is. It's not FDA approved, so doctors are able to use it at their own discretion.
So what do you think the future is of stem cells, and when you collaborate this new variable AI, like what does that world of AI and stem cells look like?
Well, I don't know exactly about AI on the medical side yet. I know AI has obviously changed the way we market, the way we can, narrow down our demographics. I do know what I think is going to happen, what I think in the very short term anyway, and I'm seeing it, is it's kind of this current administration is far more stem cell peptide natural healing. They're a lot more for that. So that's partly why you're seeing more and more people getting into the space. Yeah. So I think that's a good thing, generally speaking.
Yeah, well, you got RFK.
RFK even tweeted. He said, "Stem cells, peptides, leave them alone. Let people have access to them." So obviously, I'm not political, but that's a good thing in my opinion. But what I'm seeing is there's going to be less action by the FDA they're not going to try to shut down anything. They're going to try to probably start making sure that the people that are in the business are doing it correctly. So I think there's going to be a lot more rules and regulations, but not in a bad way. I think they're going to be put in place to make sure that the consumer's not being taken advantage of. There's going to be more compliance regulations, but if you're doing it the right way, like we always have been, I welcome that, because there are some nefarious players that just jump in and see a money grab and they start saying, "Oh, stem cells will cure anything. Just you've got a bad knee and a shoulder. We'll do an IV and everything will be better. You're going to be back to 20 years old." There needs to be some regulation in the healthcare space. So what I'm seeing is there's going to be some more uniformity, where there's going to, because it's kind of now Wild West. Yeah. But I think what's coming is there's going to be some more specific rules in place that if you follow them, great. If you don't, hopefully it just gets the bad actors out.
I mean, that seems like there's going to be a lot of competition then.
Yep, definitely. Competition is healthy.
Yeah.
For me, which brings to the other side of it. So we're talking about my direct-to-consumer model, which is great. We'll educate you. We'll send a nurse practitioner.
So you love the competition because you're going to feed the competition.
Yeah. So the other thing I'm in, Precision Biologics, is my wholesale company. So a few years ago, I got together with some of the big players in the industry, and we said, we're tired of buying these products and making some distributor rich. So we just got into the manufacturing side. So we're actually buying the raw materials we have contracts with hospitals. So the raw materials being birthing tissue. So that birthing tissue, after it's been screened at the hospital, the cord, the placenta, the amniotic fluid, the tissue, all that gets sent to third party, which the FDA oversees. It gets screened for sterility. So then we purchase tons of raw material from these third party labs that have cleaned it, cleared it, and then we purchase millions of dollars worth at a time. And then we have deals with manufacturers that take those cords and make the products for us to our specifications. So what we pride ourselves at on the wholesale side is nobody has more stem cell and umbilical cord dense or exosome rich products than we have. So we actually get to make them the way we want, the way the marketplace wants them, and because we do such volume, we have a very, very good affordable business model.
What are exosomes? So the crowd.
Yeah, so exosomes are like stem cells. So stem cells actually naturally secrete exosomes. So if you're getting a product from the umbilical cord tissue, like what we have, there's going to be some exosomes that are naturally secreted. Exosomes are like, so think about if you're building a house, the stem cells are like the workers. They're going to be doing the work. The exosomes are going to be sending the messages to the workers of what they need to do. Or maybe it's like the exosomes are like the blueprint. So if you can get stem cells and exosomes working together, that's going to be your best bet. So all of our stem cell products that we sell have naturally occurring exosomes in them, but we also have a line of exosome-only products where we're actually taking out in the lab, not me, but the manufacturers are actually able to extract just the exosome, so it's just pure exosomes. So like what you got today was a stem cell product, 80 million live stem cells plus 180 billion exosomes. We put them together, and the exosomes are going to kind of tell the stem cells what to do. So it's
I feel great.
Yeah,
I mean, there was no recovery time, and they're like, "Yeah, you just went through a procedure." I'm like, "That was a procedure."
That was it. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it doesn't even feel like a procedure.
Yeah. So stem cells and exosomes. I mean, I don't think we want to get. I don't know how scientific we want to get, but there's different applications for both, and but it's all derived from the placental birthing tissue, the cord, the placenta, all that.
Now, building in the health space often comes with a lot of skepticism and hyperregulation, as we discussed. What are some of the early hurdles you had to overcome to build that momentum that you have right now?
Yeah, obviously, when people are spending thousands of dollars, some people are more skeptical than others. So that's why we love the dinner seminars. We love one-on-ones to educate. But one of the hurdles is, like I said earlier, if somebody goes and asks their traditional doctor who's, makes their house payment, their car payment by doing traditional medicine, doing cortisone shots and knee surgeries, it's pretty hard to get them on your side regarding something new like stem cell therapy. So, there's general skepticism, and each person's different. So that's always a little bit hard to get around. We talked about the regulation side. That's always walking a tightrope, but we've got that figured
Is it mostly young doctors that you work with now?
All across the board. The common denominator for the doctors we work with is they're almost all going to be independent. So it's very hard to sell into some hospital because there's so much bureaucracy, there's so many decision makers. Trying to get a board to agree on doing a non-FDA approved procedure at a hospital that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, that's pretty tough. So the doctors we work with are usually private practice. So somebody might own an interventional pain clinic, and I just signed one up yesterday. It's like they came to me because they've had so many patients come to them asking, "Hey, do you guys do stem cells? Do you guys do these cellular therapies?" I'm like, "No, we don't." And they finally had enough people ask them about it that I don't know how they got my info, but they're like, "Hey, we've had enough people ask about it. It seems like this is something we should be doing." But again, that's an independent practice.
Yeah. You're not going to get Hoag Hospital.
No,
or,
it's tough. The future. Then you ask me, what do I see happening the next?
That could be the future.
Certainly. There'll probably be some product that does get an FDA approval in this space, and that'll probably change the game.
I wish they just offered it to all those with torn meniscuses, torn Achilles, torn this, torn that.
They should. If actual patient outcomes was the most important thing, they would do that. There's a couple countries in the EU. It changes now, but there's several countries in the EU that before they will pay for like a knee replacement or a surgery, they require you to try some form of regenerative therapy first, and the insurance covers that. Yeah.
That just makes so much more sense.
It does. It makes too much sense, and that's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, I mean, what if it did, and then you saved yourself a surgery, and then not having to destroy your knee?
I mean, I've probably helped facilitate 1,500 of these treatment packages, and one of the most common things we hear 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year later is, "I'm out of pain, almost completely out of pain, and surgery is now off the table." That's many people's end goal is to avoid that surgery.
Now let me ask you this: what's the world of cellular cellular repair headed to in the next 5 years? Like, what do you think it looks like?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to get buttoned up a little bit more, like we talked about. I think they're going to try to get some uniformity across some of the protocols, which again, I'm all about that. In fact, some of my group that we work with is actually working with some government agencies. We're trying to put some, for lack of a better term, peer-reviewed studies together, case studies. What's really neat about the regenerative medicine industry, it's competitive, but most of us in this space are actually cheering for each other because we want to advance this forward. So there's a lot of collaboration, even with competing. I say competing from one clinic to the next. Like we're like, we want you to share us your best practices. So there's a Facebook group that one of my companies has made. It's for providers, and there's almost 2,000 providers that are on this group now, and every day it's just constant back and forth talking about, hey, I've got a 43-year-old patient in here with XYZ. Has anybody seen anybody like this? What protocols exactly work best? It's pretty neat to see a lot of collaboration.
Thank God,
in the
man.
industry,
It's
yeah.
like all industries need more collaboration
Yep.
because we go so much faster
Yep.
when we're together.
Yep, collaboration, not competition, is one of the things we say in that group. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God, especially in an emerging field
Yep.
like this, we need as much collaboration as possible because it's growing so fast and everything's changing so quickly, especially with AI. I was telling you, one of the guys now who's taking AI and taking stem cells and trying to create the human brain, that the stem cell industry is directly correlated with AI.
Yeah.
Just because you could do so much with stem cells and artificial intelligence. I mean,
Yep. Oh, one thing
it's like the embodiment
it
of
is,
the
yeah.
word.
Yeah. You asked me, I probably should have mentioned this earlier about the future. There's probably, in the not too distant future, they're going to be able to use stem cells to like recreate entire organs. Like you'll be able to.
Yeah, the not too distant future, meaning
Yeah,
like
make-
Q1
Q1
2026.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you need a new heart? We'll take some of your own stem cells, give us a month in the lab, we'll grow you a new one. That's honestly the future
Yeah.
of stem cell therapy. There's also some major advancements. Some of this is overseas. A lot of American doctors and clinics like mine also, we don't want to touch things like Alzheimer's and dementia, but there's some pretty crazy things going on overseas where people will go when they're desperate. And you hear some crazy stories about.
It shouldn't be like that.
I know.
We shouldn't have to leave America when we're desperate and when it comes to our health.
Yeah,
We should be coming to America.
I agree.
For our
I agree.
health.
And one of the that's
Not going to Panama.
It's medical tourism, but reverse. And part of the problem is the FDA. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just say it. And then we are a very litigious country, especially in healthcare. So
Well, especially in anything.
yeah, in anything. So a lot of these docs,
Especially with employment.
that too.
Anything
That
employment
too.
based.
That's true. But they don't want, no matter how many waivers a patient signs, there's still always a risk that if you do something that's totally outside of the ordinary, that either malpractice won't cover or, that some good litigious attorney can overrule even a consent form that a patient clearly signed. So there is still stuff that people are going overseas for. And it's not that the American doctors can't do it. In fact, I know a lot of doctors that have practices here in the States that will use stem cell therapy for things like joints and IVs, like the normal run-of-the-mill stuff. But then they have a clinic in like Antigua or Panama or somewhere where they don't have the FDA oversight, and they have that specifically for cases that are a little bit more severe, brain function, spinal cord injuries, stuff that they don't dare touch here because it's too dangerous. I'd say dangerous, not actually dangerous, but dangerous FDA regulation-wise. So then they have clinics overseas for those cases.
I have a question. So we all know like what Kobe Bryant did in Germany, and all these people would go to Panama to get stem cells. That was a big trend.
Yes. Yep.
So we have that here. This is what we're talking about.
Yep. So again, the only reason you need to go to Panama or overseas to get stem cells would be if you're trying to do something like I said. If you have a spinal cord injury, you're probably not going to get a doctor to do some crazy thing where they go into your spine, and there's stuff that goes above my pay grade. Again, that's the only reason you would need to go to Panama. There are some experimental things, but if you're talking about the run-of-the-mill, you want longevity, you've got soft tissue damage in your body, inflammation, autoimmune conditions, all that stuff can be done right here in the States for a fraction of the cost and done in the comfort of your own home.
So the Panama stuff is real niche stuff in your body, like going into your spine.
The way, and again, I've never been there to do this. Thank God I don't have a spinal cord injury. But there's things that they'll do over there that doctors won't do here. But the other thing is there's still a large medical tourism industry for stem cells simply because of intentional misdirection, meaning I don't necessarily fault these people. It's marketing. I'm a marketer. You're a marketer. These overseas clinics want Americans to think that the only place they can get good stem cells is by going overseas. So all their advertisements are, you got to get, in order to get real stem cells or real good stem cells, you got to get out there. It's just simply not true. But there's still people who I still run into.
That's why I just asked. I'm like, is this the same stem cells that I'm getting?
It's the same. It's safer actually. So, I mean, we could totally nerd out on this too. But in the U.S., so for better or worse, in the United States, our products have to be minimally manipulated. We are not allowed to take one single stem cell and divide it or culture it and expand it. You can do that overseas. So they can take one stem cell, divide it, so there's 100. So they'll be like, we'll give you 300 million stem cells. Well, every iteration of that cell that's been divided, it loses less of its original character. We know less, so it's not as powerful as the original cell, and we don't know exactly what it's going to do in your body.
So you don't divide it?
It's all. So those 80 million cells that we ran through, that's 80 million original, undifferentiated, uncultured
Now
cells.
that went into my knee, but will it just specifically repair the knee, or will it repair everything in my body?
You got an IV, so those cells are going to run. They're going to go wherever the blood takes it. So it's going to get a lot of it's going to your heart, your lungs, your other organs. It's going to find the inflammation throughout the body. That's for just think anything inside your body you want to do an IV for. We did your knee because you had recent meniscus surgery. So if we're going to do a direct injection, we did a slightly different product and a different procedure for your knee. We actually directly put a ton of stem cells into your knee joint. So those cells, because your knee's an encapsulated joint, I'd say around 90% of that product will stay in the knee. There's a reason we did a direct injection in your knee and an IV, because the IV alone would not have gotten enough into the knee to do what it needs to do.
But it'll go through any inflammation I have in the body.
Interior, yes, especially interior. And there's a lot of, for people that have, not to be gross, but like irritable bowel syndrome or things like people that have gut issues, a lot of times they have inflammation of their gut. So a lot of people get a lot of benefit from doing, biannual or annual or even quarterly stem cell IVs to help with their, gut health, especially if you have inflammation as being one of the issues.
Wow.
So again, long answer to short question. If you have a direct injury, soft tissue damage, an injury, we want to directly put the cells right in that area. So it's like there's two different modes. And a lot of people, if they're going to get their knee or their back or their shoulder done, as long as they've set up the treatment, we like to give them the IV, because why not? There's so many benefits to the body, and we're already out there, so that's part of the concierge service. You wouldn't have had to get an IV today for your knee to get better.
Yeah.
But you're into health and wellness, so
yeah. I mean, listen, in the biohacking space, I'm just like, I'll do whatever.
Yeah, you'll do it. Yeah.
So they talk about stem cells for like vampire facelifts, stem cells for what's a vampire facelift?
Yeah, so that's the other world. That's the
that's the beauty world.
That's the beauty world. Cosmetic and aesthetics. The last few years, that's taken off like crazy.
Yeah.
So on my wholesale side, that's going crazy, because all these med spas, they're looking for natural.
So our dermatologists, they're pushing exosomes like crazy.
Exosome stem cells. So you can microneedle them into the face.
Yeah.
My wife has done her under eye. I think they call it.
But that's exosomes.
That's actually stem cells too. So you can do both. So I don't know how deep we want to get into the difference, but she's done both. So she's done like a skin pen with exosomes where she can microneedle the face, and she's actually put the stem cells directly under the eye. And I think they call that biological bleph or something like that. And she's had some amazing results.
What kind of results?
It's just filling the under eye. It actually, because in the stem cell product, there's so much naturally occurring collagen, and collagen is a building block of healthy tissue. So there's a reason people inject collagen and things like that.
But this is so much collagen, but it's all pill form or powder form.
So,
and that doesn't work nearly as well.
No, remember the term. We're going a little bit deep here, but the term Wharton's jelly. nobody would ever know what Wharton's jelly is, but it's actually the stem cell product we use. It comes from Wharton's jelly. Wharton's jelly is this gooey good stuff that runs through every umbilical cord. And yes, it was named after Dr. Wharton, who discovered this in like 1794, I think, in Germany. But the specific part of the umbilical cord called the Wharton's jelly is the richest source in all of Earth for stem cells, for collagens type 1 and 3. There's naturally occurring hyaluronic acid. Again, the stem cells secrete exosomes. There's growth factors. There's cytokines. It's got all the good stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's just
all the good stuff.
Miraculous stuff.
Joe Rogan talks about it on one of his podcasts. He said there's this, and we show it at our seminars. He says there's this new stuff out called Wharton's jelly. It's the strongest stuff, and it's not new anymore. This is from about 3 or 4 years ago. But that's what we put into the face. So we put Wharton's jelly in there because it's got such strong collagenase factors. So she's got some volume lift in the under eye from doing 3 rounds of that of the Wharton's jelly.
So you don't need to do a full facelift. It's just a vampire facelift. It's just
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that, who is it? What, Kris Jenner, the Kardashian mom? She got that facelift. She looks pretty good. I'm not saying she got that from just doing stem cells or exosomes.
She did the vampire facelift.
I'm sure she did more than that. I'm sure she had I'm sure she was under the knife for a while. But a lot of people are using these same products or similar products. So there's slight differences when we make the products. Slightly different concentrations and things based on cosmetic and aesthetic versus joints, but it's all coming from the same donated tissue. So it's natural, natural biologics. And they're also, the other big one is they're doing it in the hair too, the scalp for hair restoration.
Growth.
Yep.
So that's a new thing. Is that PRP?
So PRP is the old way. PRP has limitations. So this Wharton's jelly stuff is far, it's like PRP on steroids, but steroids in a good way. So we'll mix some Wharton's jelly, which is stem cells, exosomes, hyaluronic acid, GHKU, copper peptide.
Yeah.
We blend it all together and then use a microneedle, open it up, and then put the product that's all mixed together and microneedle into the pores to get healthier, thicker hair.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a big market now too. The cosmetic and aesthetic side is growing exponentially.
I would think that's probably going to be, the most dominant market.
I think so. I mean, it's certainly because that's all age groups.
Yeah.
Even these girls younger and younger are doing more and more stuff. So, but unlike some other things, this is natural. So, there is a lot of people
they don't need
pushing
to go
for more
under
natural.
the knife. They
Right. Yeah. And some of those fillers, I'm not an expert. I'm not here to, crap on any of these procedures. But there's probably some truth to some of these fillers and even Botox it's certainly not natural. There's some stuff in these products that aren't in the stem cell and exosome. Because remember, it is purely natural. We're not even allowed to add anything to the stem cells and the exosome products. So there's really no downside as far as health.
Listen, I'm a believer.
Yeah.
How do the audience members, or how did the audience get stem cell treatment? How does a general person get stem cell treatment?
So I'm on Instagram. I'm on socials.
They got to reach out to you. But this isn't something they can just Google.
Yeah, I mean, you can Google, and whoever has paid the most in SEO, in your territory is going to pop up. There's probably tons of great med spas out there.
So general med spas now have stem cell treatment? Because I haven't seen it.
Not general ones, but more and more med spas are offering Wharton's jelly and exosomes. Again, Wharton's jelly is stem cells. So more and more of them are getting into the space. But for every 10 med spas, probably only 2 of them are offering it for now. So a lot of my daily things, weekly things, is taking calls from med spa owners that hear about it, and I'm just doing like a 30-minute Zoom call, and it's just explaining to them what we have, how it works, and a little bit of the science. But then I'm a business guy. They always want to know the economics. So if anybody out there is listening that owns a med spa, is in the medical field, wants to start one, I do a ton of consulting for startups. So obviously I can get them the products. Our products are going to be more dense, more effective, less expensive. So there's that side of it. But I always tell people we're not like on my wholesale business side. It's not just product. We're going to show you how to implement it in your practice. We're going to show you how to make money on it. We're going to show you how to market it. We're going to show you how to stay out of trouble. Market it in a way that's compliant. So we have a whole lot of support for business owners. So that's, at the end of the day, since a private practice is a business. Now they're in the healthcare space, but they still have to keep their lights on and everything too. So we help them get into the space, show them how to make money in the space, show them how to stay out of trouble in the space, show them how to get the best patient outcomes, all that.
A couple last questions I have
Yep.
for you. What's a personal goal you have for yourself, a family goal that you have for your family, and a business goal that you have for both companies?
Personal goal first.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm as a former athlete, I think business is a sport, right? So that's I'm 42 now. Yeah, I still play some. I'll sub in for volleyball, softball, basketball, but now my main sport is business. So
you play to win.
I
want to be the biggest stem cell distributor.
I do play
in
to
America.
win. Yeah. So I want to be the biggest stem cell distributor on the wholesale side. I'm always looking for new partnerships, more clients to sell product to. But you asked about a personal goal. I would personally like to get my businesses to the point where I can step away a little bit. And
even though you're not the type of guy to step away.
No, I say that too. I don't even know what to do with it. But,
we're all in a position to step away a little bit, but so you can do more podcasts.
That's right. It's like I could step away. I suppose I could, but it's hard. Personal goal would be to get maybe a little bit better work-life balance. Yeah. Which would require getting a little bit, I'm still in the growth mode. So, and maybe it's wishful thinking to think that I'll ever not be. It's probably just the way I am. But professionally, I really want to get Regenerative Revival out to everybody out there. That's kind of my passion. Is so many people still think stem cells therapy is unattainable. Yeah, it's not cheap.
I thought it was unattainable.
Yeah, people think it's unattainable. They think they have to go somewhere else, and even if they might hear some ad that says you need to go to Panama. They're like, well, I'm not spending $50,000 to go to Panama. And then they might hear a local med spa, but then they hear conflicting information. So most people just get information constipation, and they don't do anything.
Yeah, at that point, once you get someone telling you locally, and then they say you got to go to Panama, you really don't know what to believe.
You don't know what to believe. So that's what I try. So educational seminars work great for that, but that's usually a demographic of like 50 to 80-year-olds that go to these free dinners. So that's great. We've got that market cornered.
And there's no stem cell influencers.
That's kind of what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to be is the accessible stem cell guy for anybody. You don't have to be 70 years old and almost dead to want to do this. There's tons of people that just say you're somebody who likes to work out a lot and you've been lifting heavy weights for a long time. So many people have tears in their shoulders. So I can't tell you how many people's lives I've changed. Their words, not mine. It's like, man, I couldn't do an overhead press for the last 4 years since I, messed up my shoulder 4 years ago. I get them a stem cell shot. Within a couple months, they're back to doing what they were doing 5 years ago. And that's really fun to hear. And I just want more people to know about it, that they can get it done in the comfort of their home. They don't have to take out a second mortgage for it. It works. It's safe. It's totally safe. It's effective. And again, the biggest thing for so many people is you don't have to go anywhere to do it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And family goals?
Yeah.
I would love I've got a 13-year-old son and a 9-year-old son. I would love to have such an empire, such a well-oiled machine in this space, wherever it takes me, that they can work with me one day. That's because they're both, I don't think anybody's going pro in my family. I'm a 6'2.5" white guy. My wife's 5'4", white girl. We're probably not going. Nobody's playing in the NBA, but my kids are really. We love sports. That's what we bond over. So I know that they think, even though my 13-year-old might not say it out loud, I know he thinks what I do is pretty cool when I just take pictures with like football players and all that type of stuff. So my hope would be that my business is still cool enough that he doesn't have to wonder what's he going to do one day. He's like, I want to get in the business with Dad.
Yeah, we think about that for our kids all the time.
You do.
At
least
I think about all the time.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm in Newport Beach. Like I don't even there is no. When I grew up, the profession was be a doctor, then you'll be able to live a comfortable life. Well, I'm in Newport Beach. There's no doctors on my street.
No, they're not making enough money.
There's no doctors on my street. So that's not the world.
I agree.
That ticket just to go to act like.
Well, we grew up college. You had to go to college.
You got to go to college and then med school, and then you could live a good life.
Yeah.
Like that's not how it is anymore.
Yeah, no.
You go to college, you go to med school, and then you have to open a business.
Yeah. If you want to make real money,
If you want to make real money. So, I always have that in my back of my mind. I'm training my kids to be entrepreneurs and influencers, and that's the kind.
That's exactly
and
what
also
it is.
be educated.
Yes.
It's just a hyper competitive.
It is. It is.
world now.
It is.
So they got to just check all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. When you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
I hope I hear that I had a positive impact on everybody that I was around. Again, family first. You know, I'm a pretty loving guy. Like I want the best for everybody that's close to me. So I hope that's. I think that if you talk to my closest friends, family, people that work for me, I've got a lot of employees, a lot of people that rely on my hard work to feed their families. And that's probably what I personally pride myself on the most is, you know, working hard enough so that I don't let anybody else down, like the people that I care about. And I care about the people that work for me. I've got 7 assistants. I got about 15 sales guys, you know, my wife, my 2 kids. So I work when I don't want to work. You know, I'm on this 10-day whirlwind trip right now. It's not like I love being home or away from home for 10 days, but I'd like to think that I've made enough impact on people and I would get rewarded for that. So I think that'd feel pretty good to say, you know, you've helped a lot of people.
That's it, man. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, God bless you. I hope you hit all your goals. If people want to connect with you, how do they find you?
Regenerativerevival.com. Regenerativerevival.com is my website. It's got all my contact info out there. It's also Instagram, regenerativerevival.com. I do most of my social media stuff on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, which is Seth D. Berge. So my last name is Berge, B-E-R-G-E. It's pronounced Berge. Most people say it's Berge or Berg, but Seth D. Berge is my Instagram handle. Regenerative Revival. Precision Biologics it's not a very sexy website. It's just product, kind of nerdy science stuff. But yeah, find me on socials.
Love it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping on
Thanks
the show today, Seth. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and hang
Yes,
out
sir.
with you. And you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.